All right, episode 436 with Dr. Thomas Levy is brought to you by Bellicon Rebounders. Rebounding is one of my favorite exercises to do as a guy who works out in the gym and who does Qigong, and I love surfing and hiking and all these sort of male exercises. Rebounding is one of my favorites because it increases endorphins. It's one of the most amazing ways to wake up in the morning and to get your body going. It helps to detoxify your lymphatic system, which is very rare. Not a lot of exercises will do that. It helps to increase bone density and increase circulation. And your lymphatic system is super important because that's where toxins are stored. And so it's a great way to flush those out. I like to watch documentaries while I jump on that for about 25 minutes a day. The Bellicon's great because it uses flexi ropes and not springs, so that it's silent. The legs fold in, so it's very easy to store underneath your bed or against the wall. If you're concerned about balance, they have handlebars that you can hold on to. And like I said, it's completely silent and it feels like you're jumping on a trampoline. I cannot recommend rebounding enough. A lot of people do it for cancer prevention. It's a cellular exercise, so it helps every single cell of your body, creating resistance. It's just the best. So if you're interested in it, you can check it out at extremehealthradio.com/436. And this show is also brought to you by our friend Russell James over at Raw Chef Program. He's got some incredible courses, incredible online training programs about how to make raw food. I don't eat exclusively raw food, but I do use a lot of his recipes. A part of my diet is raw, and his course is just awesome. He's got a whole desserts course. He's got a whole chocolate course. He's got main dishes and fermentation course. He's got some really good stuff, and he's a classically trained chef, and his website is just stunning. It's beautiful, and the quality of the videos that you get when you get his program is just incredible. So I highly recommend it. We've had so many people write in thanking us for recommending this program, and I love what Russell's doing. He's a friend of ours, and he's just putting out such great stuff. So if you're interested in the Raw Chef program or the Bellicon Rebounders, go to extremehealthradio.com/436. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We are so excited to be here. Episode 436 with Dr. Thomas Levy.
This is going to be a great show.
It's going to be a good one. We're going to be talking about his books and his website and what he's got going on. I want to thank all you guys for joining us. I really appreciate it. If you want to grab any of the links that are available for this episode, we're no longer doing show notes in lieu of doing more shows. So by doing more shows, we're able to pump them out more, but the side effect of that, there's always a side effect of something, unfortunately. The side effect is that the show notes had to get cut. So we hope you guys enjoy more frequent shows. So if you want to visit this actual page and listen to this on the website, you can do that at extremehealthradio.com/436. And what else? Is there anything else to get to? Is that about it?
That's about it.
Okay, we got Dr. Thomas Levy on the line today from peakenergy.com. He's a board-certified cardiologist. He's written over 6 books like Toxic Tooth, Death by Calcium, Primal Panacea, Stop America's #1 Killer, and Curing the Incurable. And he's doing some great work over there at peakenergy.com. Thank you so much, Doctor, for being on the show today.
My pleasure, Justin. For all those side effects you're talking about having, maybe you just need more vitamin C, huh?
I know. You know what? It's funny you say that because we make this liposomal vitamin C. We make it at home, and we ran out the last few days, so maybe I'm low.
It could be.
I know you've talked a lot about the liposomal vitamin C, haven't you?
Oh, quite a bit. Yes, sir. It's really... Well, it's going to revolutionize medicine, but until it revolutionizes medicine, it's definitely revolutionized supplements. It's just important that people know the difference between liposomes and other preparations. And, you mentioned the homemade. The homemade is better than regular vitamin C, but they don't make liposomes. If you like, we could talk more about that at some point.
Yeah, well, I'd love to know because a lot of our listeners make it at home as well. And so, what's wrong with making it at home? Is it not encapsulated fully?
Well, before anybody out there thinks that I'm on the take or something like that, I am a consultant to Live On Labs. I've been so for 11 years. They're the ones that first came out with liposomal C. I knew nothing about liposomes when they first contacted me, and it did so many fantastic things over the course of a year that I finally decided to affiliate with them and learn what a liposome was. However, what happens with the homemade, quote-unquote, preparation is the ultrasonic routine that is involved in most of it makes the vitamin C and the lecithin an emulsion, not liposomes, an emulsion. And basically, in a nutshell, what an emulsion does is it does improve absorption. Okay, so you absorb much more vitamin C out of a homemade liposomal preparation, quote unquote, than you do with regular vitamin C. So to that extent, it's very good.
Okay.
However, it just is absorption into the blood, okay? And there's no encapsulation of the vitamin C, and you get no special delivery inside the cell, which is what a liposome does. So the bottom line there is I've tried to impress upon people that read my stuff and read my articles, is that it's perfectly fine to do this homemade preparation. It's actually better than a regular form of C. You get a lot more C in you before you start having diarrhea.
Okay.
But if you have a critical degenerative disease, a cancer, a heart disease, and you're all psyched about what liposomes can do for you, and let's say you don't get the positive effect that you're looking for from this, you shouldn't feel that liposomes have failed you because you haven't taken liposomes.
I see. So is an emulsion sort of like when you blend stuff together and it becomes all blended, or is it?
Well, an emulsion's a little more sophisticated. In every sense of the word, an emulsion is like a detergent effect. It allows something fat soluble to be water soluble and go in through the traditional water soluble pathways more effectively. So it. Because if it was just a mixture, it would settle out. And some homemade forms do settle out.
Oh, but that's right.
The ones that are truly emulsions, they don't settle out. I'm not enough of a chemist to explain better what an emulsion is, except to say that there's an association, if you will, of the fat of the lecithin and the vitamin C, such that it increases the vitamin C absorption and doesn't allow as much vitamin C to make its way down into the colon, where you get the bowel effect when you start taking large amounts of oral C. Well, one doc that I know of, and it's not scientific, if you will, but he found that, 12 to 15 grams of regular vitamin C gave him the C flush. Mm-hmm. When he put the twice as much vitamin C inside his homemade preparation, if you will, he could get twice as much vitamin C inside or absorbed, administered, before he'd get the bowel flush. So that was very compelling evidence right there that even if I have it wrong on technically talking about emulsions, the process does allow a better simple absorption of the vitamin C than just with regular vitamin C. Is vitamin C sort of like, let me think of something else, like one of the minerals that we're so really deficient in, like magnesium? Is vitamin C one of those things where you just can't take too much of? I mean, outside of bowel tolerance? Yeah, you can't take too much of it. That's absolutely true.
Interesting.
And vitamin C, as an overview, if you will, is literally the fuel that the cells of the body runs on. Because of its simple chemical structure, because of the fact that it's a redox agent, reductant oxidation, it allows electrons to be donated, but also the oxidized forms of vitamin C allow the electrons to be taken up again, so that you actually, in every sense of the word, promote electron flow inside the cell with your vitamin C.
Wow.
And the electrons are the fuel of the cell. So number one, you can't really overdo it. Matter of fact, I like to note that when we talk about toxicities and the dose of the poison is what determines whether it's poisonous, you can readily kill yourself by drinking too much water. Very, very simple, very well documented. There is no dose of vitamin C that I know of that you can make yourself sick on, or even much less cause death. Wow. Okay? So that makes vitamin C safer than water.
Yeah, I know, right?
Start drinking that by the gallon.
I know. Yeah. How much do you take a day? Because I know those in the Live On Labs, we love their products. I think one pack is like is it 1,000 milligrams?
Yeah.
1,000 milligrams?
It's 1,000 milligrams, but because of the liposome technology that I talked about, it's the effect, and this sounds crazy, but I guarantee it's more effectively like 15 grams of regular vitamin C. When I first got involved with that particular vitamin C and liposomes, it's an interesting story, I suppose, is 11 years ago, I just shut down my clinic for a number of reasons, and then lo and behold, I got sick, started getting the flu. I didn't have my IV vitamin C to run to like I had before, so I took as much regular vitamin C as I could until my bowels couldn't take it anymore. And then I looked on the floor and saw this box of Live On Lipo C that they had sent to me several months earlier that I just wanted them to get off my back. Send me your product.
Yeah.
And I as I said, I knew absolutely nothing about a liposome back then, but I did remember one thing. They told me, and I just had to believe them, they told me that it doesn't have the bowel effect. It doesn't cause the bowel effect. So I said, well, I can't take any more regular vitamin C. I can't get an IV. Let me start taking this stuff. And I took 5 packets of it, 5 grams. And within an hour, hour and a half, I felt better than I had ever felt under similar circumstances, which had occurred several times, with a 50-gram vitamin C infusion.
Really?
It said 5 grams, 50 grams, oral intravenous. What's going on here? So being the intellectually curious person I am, I did the only logical thing at that point in time. I said, this isn't possible, so I ignored it.
Well, that makes the most logical sense. That's the kind of response most of us would have.
And that scenario had to repeat itself with family and friends a few more times over the next few months. And I don't know, finally about 8 or 9 months later, I got a hold of Live On. And I said, let's start working with this. And I started doing some serious research about liposomes at that time. I said, okay, Dr. Idiot, I think it's about time you figured out what a liposome is and why a small dose orally can have, some of the time, a greater clinical impact than a much larger dose intravenously.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
And
stuff.
minus the needle, minus the poke.
That's right.
Minus the needle. Well, yeah. we sort of... not formally, but informally marketed it for a long time as IV in a box.
I see. Have you heard about that story? It's a really sort of famous story. It's not that old. It's maybe like within the last 10 years. I'm sure you know about this. The guy in New Zealand who, I'm not sure, had some sort of bypass surgery or something, and he never came out of the surgery, and then he slipped into a coma, and they found out
that was swine flu.
Swine flu? Okay, and then they found out he had cancer.
Well, he also had a form of leukemia that they discovered on routine blood testing.
That's right.
In the hospital. Yes.
And vitamin C brought him back. The family fought to give it to him and all this stuff.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
I wouldn't go so far as to say I played a role in it, except the fact that one of the family members emailed me.
Oh, wow.
Before anything went on about that case and said, do you think IV vitamin C would help him? And I said, yeah, absolutely. But then I was thinking in the back of my mind, like you're ever going to get that done. But yeah, that'd be great. So I didn't play an active role, but fortunately it was not a passive family, an aggressive family, and let me tell you, doctors just need to have the crap knocked out of them. That's all there is to it. I mean, when you have something that is inexpensive, non-toxic, and proven to be effective, you have no right as a doctor not to give it. Okay? You have no right to say, well, I don't know about it, or blah, blah, blah. Okay? What you do have a right as a doctor is to turn the patient over to somebody else, or you have a right to deal with the legal ramifications of denying somebody an agent that's been so repeatedly proven to be phenomenally powerful, far more so than antibiotics. Although it does not have to be taken instead of antibiotics, it can be taken with antibiotics. So nobody's feelings have to get too hurt.
Yeah, I know, right? Because it's obviously they're just thinking about profits and, you know, the money side of all of that. But like you said, if you take it with, you know, I doubt that most people are going to wake up to the extent that they'll take vitamin C in place of. So it seems like their grip on the profits isn't going to be loosened at all. So take it with it, you know?
Right, an adjunct.
Yeah.
Well, they won't lose profits with infections, but they'll lose profits everywhere else. I mean, properly utilized, vitamin C could very easily displace or eliminate over 50% of prescription medication.
You think so? 50%?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
Okay.
Now, what kind of, are you talking like liposomal or taking it internally, like IV, or how are you thinking?
Well, all of the above. One of the things that I have put out there for people that are, you know, trying to get relief, trying to get improvement in their medical conditions and their chronic infections, etc., is to realize that vitamin C will virtually never fail you if you take enough of it in enough forms. Okay? And in that regard, I have something I call the multi-C protocol. And this is just designed for people who are really sick, really out there. They're not getting the relief they want by pushing one form of vitamin C to a high enough dose. And so it features liposomal vitamin C, which of course gets inside the cell and from the gut gets inside the immune cells without the consumption of energy. There's sodium ascorbate powder, which you take to deliberately to the point of inducing a C flush and neutralizing a large number of the toxins being produced in the gut. There's ascorbyl palmitate, which is a fat-soluble form of vitamin C that allows you to get more protection against the oxidation and the fatty membranes throughout the body. And then there's the intravenous vitamin C, which by sheer power of dosage allows you to flood the body in the extracellular spaces with vitamin C. So when you combine all those forms of vitamin C, and in the case of an infection, add a potent pro-oxidative therapy like ozone, there's virtually no infection you're not going to be able to effectively cope with. And this is important because virtually all disease is caused by the oxidative stress of low-grade infections in the body, most commonly in the mouth.
Most commonly in the mouth. Now, how much vitamin C do you think? I guess it really depends on what you're going through, what stage in life, how healthy you are.
You got it. I mean, Dr. Huggins, my mentor of 20 years ago, a dentist, I learned more medicine from him than from med school or any doctor I've known.
Oh my gosh.
He used to say, you can't dry off while you're still in the shower. Okay? So just because you have an illness of some type, you can't expect to get a profoundly positive result to anything that you do for that illness if you haven't addressed the daily onslaught of toxins that are continuing to cause and promote that illness.
That makes sense.
You have to direct the flood. First you have to stop the exposure, then you have to repair. You can't repair while you're still in the middle of a chronic, ongoing, toxic onslaught. You know, you can make little differences, you can feel a little bit better, but there's so many things that you can actually resolve, dare I say cure, when you can stop the source of the toxins and the pathogens in this case, and then restore the antioxidant status in the tissues, you can resolve or profoundly impact just about anything. Because oxidative stress causes all disease at the molecular level.
Isn't it great to think, to have that mindset and to know that because so often in today's culture we're just reading headline after headline of so-and-so young person died of cancer and they're 30 years old or 15 years old or whatever. I don't know. For me, it's so reassuring to know that we have such powerful tools that are available to us if we just seek them out, you know?
If we just seek them out, and we can avoid the people who would damage us for trying to use them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure you know all about that. As an MD.
Most people in our life, in our family that aren't as switched on as we've become over the last few years, look at us cross-eyed when we say, oh man, a lot of this stuff starts in the mouth. People just don't believe it until they have their own experience. Have you found that to be quite true?
That the mouth is important, or that people are ignored or amazed by it?
I guess both.
Yeah.
Equally.
Yes, I'm just going through my research phase right now for my next book, and incidentally, it'll be the 11th book.
Wow! My goodness!
And it's going to be called Hidden Epidemic. And the subtitle is going to be Painless Oral Infections Cause Chronic Diseases. Emphasis on the painless. Okay, we all know that when you get a acutely painful abscessed tooth and you just can't think straight, well, you got to get something done right away, this, that, or the other. Well, as it turns out, as we've gotten more sophisticated X-ray imaging, and they now have something in many dental offices called 3D, three-dimensional cone beam computed tomography, and you literally get a 3D image of the tooth and the root. Now we're seeing a substantial number of teeth that have pockets of abscess around them, okay? And they're severely chronically infected, and they're pain-free. And there have been studies on these type of teeth, and they're enormously toxic.
Yeah. And
they have all the impact that a chronically infected root canal has on the tooth, on the body, and even more. And one of the most recent books, there's a study by Dr. Pessi in Finland, and her group. It was an incredible study. I don't even know how they thought of it, but they coordinated themselves with the cardiologists at their academic institution, and the cardiologists would angiogram patients with acute myocardial infarction, heart attack. And for those that don't know, heart attacks in general are caused by the progressive narrowing of the blood vessels, but usually there's something at some point in time that takes the 60, 70, 80% narrowing and acutely blocks it off, a platelet blood clot. So you go quickly from 70% to 100%. And if you do an angiogram at that point in time and put a catheter in there, you could actively suck out that clot. Okay? Well, they did this with a large series of acute MI patients, and they had them suck out the blood clots, and they analyzed the blood clots. With PCR testing that can detect very small amounts of DNA, and they were able to show that 80% of those heart attack patients had the DNA of the pathogens that are characteristic of an infected tooth.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, isn't that crazy?
And they had 30%, so there was overlap, that had the DNA characteristic of pathogens and infected gums. So collectively, it showed that heart attacks are caused conservatively, directly, 85 to 90% of the time by the infections and toxins in focal infections in your mouth.
Wow.
More, and to make it even more, some people, they like to talk about relationships and correlations. No relationship or correlation. This is cause and effect, and the reason is not only were these pathogens identified, but the blood clot in which they were identified, they were present in a concentration 16-fold, 1,600% more than the surrounding blood. Okay, so the only way somebody can arrogantly say that's not proof of cause and effect is somehow to say, well, a sterile blood clot formed, and then all of a sudden there was this massive influx of toxins from the mouse. Well, that's just asinine.
Well,
So
then too,
this is what I call the smoking gun study that gives us the final proof. Because, I mean, for centuries now, literally centuries, everything we put together, it gets put aside as not cause and effect, but correlation, association, relation. They do everything they can possible not to put the blame on the mouth.
Now,
But
it's
this
interesting too.
proves the mouth is to blame.
It's interesting too because it seems as if the body would work similarly with other issues as well. Because it doesn't seem like if teeth are directly involved in or a causative factor of heart disease or heart attacks, closing off of the arteries, it doesn't make sense that the body would only have the teeth be involved in that one thing. So you think of other diseases, dementia or gut issues or anything else, cancer. There's got to be
They've identified the same pathogens in brain disease and cerebrovascular disease. Yes, it's all there. You know, one amazing and somewhat depressing piece of data here, too, is this study was done 3 years ago, and it was published in the main journal of cardiologists called Circulation. Now, I don't know that there's still a single freaking cardiologist of the country that is seeing that all of his heart pain, angina patients, or bypass patients, or any suspected cardiac disease patients is being referred to the dentist and to have a proper evaluation for infected teeth.
That's disturbing.
Why is that? They just don't read it, or what?
Or
What's the deal?
They denial?
Yeah, I guess we'll never know.
It's all of the above, because not too long ago, in the cardiological literature, they concluded, they concluded that inflammation starts all coronary artery disease.
Okay.
But it's like they didn't want to take off another layer of the onion. Well, why the heck does inflammation come to the coronary artery in the first place? You just suddenly wake up one day and your coronary arteries are inflamed? Well, that seems sort of acidine.
That doesn't make sense, yeah. We had a dentist on the show a while back, a couple years ago, Dr. Bob Dowling, and he has a clinic. He's now in Ecuador, and for lots of reasons, as you can probably imagine. And he's got this special X-ray machine where he's been able to do an X-ray of a woman, and he's been able to find something in the X-ray that you can see a line traveling from an infected tooth to a breast tumor, which is incredible.
Well, I don't know if it's the same thing, but you can see that much of the time on thermography.
It's just amazing.
You can see the warmth of the toxins going down the shared lymphatics between the tooth and the breast. And probably not 90% plus of the time, like with the coronary artery, but a good 70% plus of the time, you can very comfortably conclude that 70% or more of all breast cancer is also directly related to the mouth.
Isn't that amazing? Gosh. When I had our dentist, the guy we love in Austin, not in Austin, in Marble Falls, Texas, Dr. Stuart Nunley, he removed my, what did I have? A couple root canals taken out?
I've had one, right?
Yeah, and he did a swab and checked for all the different bacteria and stuff. And he found on my root canals teeth, he found like botulism and so many just names of diseases that just freak you out.
And again, painless. We had no idea. We weren't feeling an infection. I mean, it was scary.
It was just amazing.
They're pathogenic cesspools.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Another thing you asked about the cardiologist, I wanted to also make the point is, and this is in their literature again, they have hosts of studies that show atherosclerotic plaque has these same pathogens, and they show that infection without specifying where the infection comes from is virtually always associated with this quote-unquote inflammation in the coronary artery. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's like somebody needs to slap them.
Mm.
Yeah, they're just not seeing. They're not putting things together, are they, for some reason?
Yeah, I'm not ready to say they're all dark-hearted and deliberately keeping their patients sick so they can make more profit.
Right.
Although there are some circumstances in medicine where that exists, mm-hmm. and by no means am I going to cut the doctors a break for not wanting to embrace information that's going to change their precious little practices.
Now, as an MD yourself, how much, I'm curious about this, how much is reputation a factor? So, like, for example, if you as an MD were to start embracing some herbs or vitamin C and just do a little bit, or maybe you wrote some papers on it as a practicing MD, how much does reputation play a role in doctors not wanting to really speak out or to seek out new information or even practice with some of this new information? Is it a big deal?
Well, I think this answers your question. I mean, there is no group of quote-unquote professionals, regardless of the nature of them, that suffers from more intimidation and peer pressure than physicians.
Wow.
I mean, they have an incredible herd mentality. Mm-hmm. It's like every person that graduates from med school thinks they got a graduation certificate that now guarantees them the right to never have to think again in their life.
Isn't that bizarre? So they think all their studies just done and now they can practice.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Now, I'd like to make a little joke. I don't have a clinical practice anymore, but in the past when people would say, well, do you have a practice, doctor? I say, no, I stopped practicing a long time ago. I have a performance now.
I like that.
So true.
Yeah, I like that because it's, I suspect, this is just a guess of mine because obviously I have no medical training at all, but I suspect that the fact that there's so many people that doctors need to see on a daily basis and their time is so limited and they are just at the forefront of just seeing people for, what is the average time, 7 minutes or 15 minutes or something or less, that they just don't have time to do the research and to stay up to date with everything. And that's got to be a factor as well, right?
Well, I will say that much slack I'll cut them, which is, if you have a high volume medical practice,
you're busy.
You're busy, and when you finally at the end of the day, 7 o'clock in the evening, you finally ate dinner, you're really not much interested in reading a journal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, gosh, it's I don't know what the answer is. I guess the answer is just to take care of your own health.
That is happening right now and has been happening is actually doctors are going to become, I believe, progressively less busy because of the nurse practitioner and the physician assistant. They have nurse practitioners who are pretty much, if they are willing to go to a small enough community, practicing medicine all by themselves. Okay? So, point being is, I don't think, we still suffer, even with all of that, a shortage of health care. I understand that. Mm-hmm. But there's going to be substantially more, I believe, this is sort of my prediction, as medicine continues to evolve, there's going to be many, many more of these lower tier primary health care providers, which are only going to have their more complex cases referred to physicians. That's how I see it break it out. I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's interesting because I don't know what would be the main difference. The prescribing of prescription drugs, would that be the main difference?
That'd be the main difference, but most of it is set up right now so that either once a day or once a week, a physician assistant, a nurse practitioner, they can review their cases with a physician and still be able to deliver a prescription if needed to the patient.
Yeah, I've experienced that personally with my my OBGYN office is so crazy, and it's such a large group of doctors, but in the last few years when I've had any sort of an issue, they pass you right along to a nurse practitioner, and she's fabulous. But yeah, she's the one calling me when I go in. You know, she can get me in real quick, and so it does seem to be the case where, and at least in my own experience, where they are passing off a lot of their stuff because they're too darn busy, you know?
And in smaller communities, like I said, that nurse practitioner just might have her own office without a physician on site.
Wow.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think that that's part of what we're doing here at Extreme Health Radio, and the work that you do is just empowering people to take care of their health so they never have to go down. I compare it to like a whirlpool, and once you get sort of sucked in a little bit, you know, and if you're not careful, you'll just get taken and you just go down, down, down. And, you know, hopefully none of us ever have to really deal with any of that stuff.
Yeah, no, it's, it could be a frightening concept of just anything happening to you out of your control. And even before you or your family has a chance to have any input at all, you're laying in a hospital with a tube down your throat, and you have zero control anymore over what's going to happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you make of all, speaking of hospitals and things, what do you make of all this, what do they call it?
MRSA?
MRSA and the antibacterial resistant things, and these bacteria that are just, you know, these flesh-eating diseases and things that people are getting in hospitals. What do you make of all that stuff?
Well, I don't know how
rampant.
much we can blame it on the antibiotics, but the antibiotics have certainly contributed to the proliferation, basically Darwinian proliferation, if you will, of new pathogens. However, that's the other thing about vitamin C is there's no pathogen, of which I'm aware, and I'm aware of many, that's resistant to vitamin C, because there's always different mechanisms. Even microorganisms or pathogens that vitamin C is less effective with than others, you still have to remember, and no antibiotic does this, is vitamin C stimulates and supports the immune system by at least 20 different mechanisms.
Wow.
20.
So 20, yeah. Wow. I mean, it increases interferon, it increases antibody production, it increases B cell proliferation and function, T cell proliferation function, it increases the amount of natural killer cells. It does all of these things so that in many ways, especially if it's being used over a prolonged period of time, it doesn't even have to be responsible for directly killing the pathogen, because it just is such an enormous support to the immune system. The other thing, too, is a lot of antibiotics have as one of their primary mechanisms the fact that they're iron chelators. And this is significant, too, because virtually all pathogens, like all cancer cells, incidentally, need large amounts of iron to proliferate. And when you are able to bind up the iron and take it out of circulation, effectively pathogens and cancer cells begin to starve. So there's many different ways these antibiotics work, but the one thing is none of these pathogens are presenting any unique challenge to vitamin C.
Now, how much, as a healthy guy, how much do you take of vitamin C a day?
These days, I've been taking 4 grams of the liposomal and about 10 to 15 grams of regular sodium ascorbate.
And you could do the regular without bowel issues?
No. I've become accustomed to a C flush because I think it's a very healthy habit.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, you know. Oh, go ahead.
I'm curious, why iron? What is it in the iron that's causing the
connection with cancer?
Yeah.
Is that what you meant?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. The iron, by unclear mechanisms, accumulates in cancer cells, accumulates in pathogens, and it's obviously, I mean, they develop new receptors to pull in more iron. Some of these cells develop what's called siderophores, which are actually proteins, almost like sentries, if you will, that go out into the body and bind up iron and bring it back. So, I mean, this greed for iron is enormous. But the fact that they're so packed with iron is also their Achilles heel. Because they have such high iron levels in themselves inside, they already have increased oxidative stress inside the cell, and you only need more increased oxidative stress to cause apoptosis or cell necrosis and rupture. It's only when the oxidative stress gets high that the cell completely breaks down. And they have something inside the cell called the Fenton reaction, which is where iron going from ferrous to ferric, 2+ to 3+, it donates an electron to hydrogen peroxide, which is also high in these cells and not high in normal cells. And that develops hydroxyl radical, which is the most potent oxidizing agent known to science. It's so potent it can't migrate. It immediately oxidizes whatever it's next to. And this is especially good for vitamin C because vitamin C can go inside the cell, the pathogen or the cancer cell. It will donate an electron to ferrous, making it ferric iron, and that iron and that electron will get passed along to peroxide. And so this is how vitamin C kills the cancer cell. And it's also, unlike the chemotherapy agent, which does the same thing, it increases oxidative stress inside the cell, except the chemotherapy agent does it to all of the cells and not just the cancer cells. When the vitamin C goes inside a normal cell that doesn't have iron accumulated, all it does is strengthen the cell.
So if you were to compare the controlling of sugar and controlling of the iron in terms of dealing with something like cancer, are they equally as important to sort of get a grip on and manipulate how they function? Because obviously I've never really heard of the iron component here with cancer, but everybody says, talks about sugar in cancer. So are they both equally as important, do you think?
They're both very important.
Yeah,
I don't know if closer study would show one to be more important than the other, but they're both very important. It's interesting, too, and I just recently came across this article, a good proof as to how much iron is packed inside cancer cells is when cancer cells lyse, as from effective chemotherapy. They showed this on leukemia patients. As soon as they effectively lysed the cancer cells, not only was free iron released into the bloodstream, but so much free iron was released into the bloodstream, the levels were elevated for a full 2 weeks.
Interesting.
So, and when you have circulating free iron in your blood, you're one sick puppy.
Right.
Yeah. And how do you feel when that happens? What are the symptoms?
You feel like a truck hit you. You feel like you have the flu.
Too much iron in the blood. Isn't that fascinating? Wow. So when they did that, what was the word that you used? Lysed?
Lysed.
Lysed, just rupture.
Okay.
When you lyse something, you rupture it.
And
Lysis.
And then when they did that, the iron levels in the blood just skyrocketed.
Crazy.
Exactly.
That sounds horrible.
That does not sound fun.
That sounds bad.
Well, an important thing, and this is emphasizing this in my new book too, is that nearly all of us, probably 95% plus, are iron toxic. It's just a question as to degree.
Okay.
We're iron toxic because you should never, never, never supplement iron unless you have an iron deficiency anemia. If you don't have an iron deficiency anemia and you take any iron at all, you're just putting yourself into a state of excess iron. And a lot of this foolishness has to do with supplemented foods, okay? Unless you buy organic, unless you eat fresh, if you buy anything that's prepared in a package or a box, look at the list on the side. They have reduced iron. One of the things that's added there. It's kind of like in the third world countries, they legitimately have iron deficiencies because they can't eat enough quality food to have everything. But somehow, and I don't know if there's an insidious or a horrible reason for this or just pure ignorance, our public health authorities have decided they need desperately to protect us from ever developing the iron deficiency that are present in third world countries. Mm-hmm. And so they supplement everything we eat with iron. Now, about 10 years ago, I saw a little special on a kids show that talked about, hey, let's look at the iron that's in your cereal. And as soon as I heard that, I was just about to turn the TV off. I sat down, and I'll tell you ahead of time, I repeated this myself, and it's true. They took regular cornflakes, added water, made a mush, and then put a strong magnet on the outside of the plastic bag, then dumped it off, cut that out, and there was a knot of raw metallic iron filings.
Oh.
Where was that inside the bag connected to the magnet?
Yes, inside the cereal. And I was just stunned.
Oh my gosh.
And I did that on several different things. It was present in all of them. And then I said, God, this must mean that there's somebody so ignorant out there that they directly add metallic iron at some point in time in the processing of the cereal. And finally, I got my answer. A lady from Australia sent me an email, said, I saw your little video, Dr. Levy, and you're absolutely right. I used to work at a cereal factory, and at the last stage of it, they had a cup full of iron filings they added to the vat.
A cup full of iron filings?
What in the world?
Why?
And you know they're iron filings because they attach to the magnet, and because they act like iron filings, and because they look like iron filings. Now, think about this. Not only then are you taking in this huge excess of iron in everything you eat that doesn't come fresh out of the ground, which unfortunately all of us eat a lot of, no matter how careful we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you think this does to the gut as a foreign body reaction?
I don't know. I don't know anything about iron, but I can't imagine it's going to be good.
Can you imagine taking a metallic form of any element and swallowing it?
I know. What would that do to your gut? It would just I wonder if it would just rip apart the villi inside the gut.
Leaky gut.
Well, leaky gut, you name it. Leaky gut, sensitization to gluten, the whole ball of wax.
You know, looking up here online, iron-rich foods, and it says here, this is for people that are, have anemia, but it says red meat, pork, poultry, seafood, beans, dark green leafy vegetables such as spinach, dried fruit such as raisins and apricots, and then at the bottom, it says peas, and then it says at the bottom, iron-fortified cereals, breads, and pastas.
Good night.
Like that deserves to be mentioned with those natural foods.
Right.
I know, right? I mean, that's the only thing that's sort of just basically fake.
Well, are those natural sources of iron, are those a bad thing for people? Do we get too much of the natural sources?
Or something?
Meat? Red meat?
Probably not. But we all have different abilities to absorb. And let me get back to iron levels. Your iron levels are reflected by ferritin, okay? And right now they have in laboratories, the normal range of ferritin is 30 to 400. Mm-hmm. Well, the bottom number is too high.
Really?
Yes, okay. It should be 15 to 25.
And they're saying up to 400?
Up to 400.
Oh, my gosh.
Up to heart attack rate.
Oh, my gosh.
That's crazy.
So 15.
15.
I mean, when kids and premenopausal women have ferritins of 25.
Okay.
And then it's just a progressive accumulation from that point on. And they have studies because there's a lot of docs out there that sort of are aware of iron toxicity, and they say, oh, well, if you're under 100, you're okay. No, if you're under 100, you're less toxic than if you're 400, but you're not okay.
Right.
Because they actually showed that blood donor patients who were able to donate enough blood so that they maintain their ferritin levels below 50 in the 30 to 35 range, had less toxicity measured by vasomotor tone and their endothelial than those who maintain blood levels 75 to 100.
So that's a simple blood test, ferritin levels. We should do that on a regular, maybe a yearly basis, don't you think?
Well, more often than that, if it's elevated, you got to see that you're doing the right thing to get it out. The best thing to get it out is blood donation. That's quickest, okay?
Okay.
But they also have an incredible supplement called inositol hexaphosphate, IP6.
IP6.
That's a hard one.
which is phytic acid. And most of what you've heard about phytic acid is bad. You've heard that phytic acid is an anti-nutrient.
Yeah.
It binds up all the good stuff and keeps it from getting absorbed.
Prevents minerals from being absorbed and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
And to a limited extent, that's true, although you should never be wary of phytic acid naturally occurring in your food. But you can take that natural effect and utilize it to optimal gain. IP6, inositol hexaphosphate, will bind 6 divalent cations. So the stuff that you buy over the counter is usually 4 calciums and 2 magnesiums. Okay? But it holds on to the calcium much tighter and it lets the magnesium go. So that when you take it, it gets absorbed, it hangs on to the 4 calciums and then binds iron, binds more calcium, binds other toxic heavy metals, and then excretes it. The only thing you have to do is make sure you take it on an empty stomach. So it's a good thing to take it.
Can you get IP6?
First thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning. Can you take, or can you find that at most health food stores? I've never heard of that.
I think probably so, but it's easy to get off Amazon.
Oh, get on Amazon. IP6. That's all. I wonder if you.
I've never heard of that either.
So, what do you think? I've often thought that I should start donating blood, and I had an appointment. I thought about maybe doing it once or twice a year on a regular basis. Do you think that's good? I mean, you just mentioned it as a way to decrease iron.
Well, I think it's an excellent idea because I guarantee you your ferritin's above 50.
Uh-oh.
Without even seeing me.
That's right.
He can guarantee it.
Oh, no. So if it's above 50, so you were saying it was... So what is the number they give us? 300? Is that the low number that they recommend?
30.
They're 30.
30 to 400.
30 to 400, that's right.
And although 30 is okay, it's still not technically normal.
So you want it around 15.
Right. I mean, you want
Ideally.
it as low as you can drive it without becoming anemic.
Mm-hmm. So what happens with anemic people who are told to take iron? What's happening to them?
Well, if it's an iron deficiency anemia, okay, there's lots of anemias that don't relate to being iron deficient. So if somebody's anemic and it's not due to iron deficiency, they're just going to make themselves worse with iron.
So people who have taken an iron supplement who haven't needed it, I mean, that stuff's not going to get out of their body unless they're kind of helping it out?
No.
Oh.
You can get rid of iron by the blood donation with IP6, with prescription and also toxic iron chelation. Okay, and you can get rid of it by heavy sweating.
Oh, can you?
The far infrared sauna works great.
Oh gosh, we have one of those. You know what's interesting? I had a hair.
You got to make sure you take plenty of magnesium and zinc because you get rid of those too.
In the morning, kind of, and then sweat it out during the day. Does it matter?
We sweat it out in the day or in the sauna?
In the sauna, but I mean, when you're taking the calcium, magnesium, does it matter? Because I know Justin said in the past, like he'll take a bunch of stuff and then sit in the sauna. Does it matter? Just to keep the levels in your body balanced before, and do saunas as well, is what you're saying, to help get that out.
Yeah, I don't think the timing on that would be important.
Interesting. Okay. I had one quick question for you because I know you mentioned that I'd never heard, I feel silly that I don't know that there's a lot of things that can cause anemia. I'm just curious, what other kinds of things are there?
Chronic disease, cancer. There's a lot of things that will have a toxic or suppressive effect on your bone marrow, so you just start making less blood. There's a wide range of things that cause anemia.
So a lot. Are a big percentage of people anemic or not so much?
No.
Not really. Okay.
No,
Truly anemic. Okay.
Right.
Wow. Now we know.
Yeah.
Sweating is huge.
So what is the name of this, of the new book that are you in the middle of it?
Yeah, well, I'm about 25% through, so I hope to be finished by the end of this year if things go well.
And what's the name of it?
The name is Hidden Epidemic: Painless Oral Infections Cause Chronic Diseases.
Wow, painless. Yeah, that is
So necessary for people to know.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about that, too, because the thing that really shocked me was with the dawn of this new 3D imaging, we now have studies that when you just look at general populations, you see these infected abscess teeth maybe 10% of the time.
Really?
In people that are having no pain. But it's kind of like, this is sad to say, but it's true. Your cardiologist, your internist, when you get your heart attack, when you get your rheumatoid arthritis, when you get your cancer, they're not going to tell you this, but they're thinking, poor bastard just had bad luck.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with luck. It has to do with where the toxins are coming from that's breaking down your body and increasing oxidative stress in any of a number of selected tissues. Because that's what's behind all disease. And now they may not know where the infection is, but it's there.
So the name of the game, I think Dr. Huggins said, as long as you, and I think he was referring to mercury, in relation to how difficult it is to not be exposed to mercury. But he was saying, as long as you have more going out than what's coming in, then that's where I want you to be. So, that's the name of the game. I think you guys were just talking about sweating, right? Mm-hmm. And detoxification. So that's going to be huge for people.
No, it's, as long as you make sure you get plenty of the good minerals, man, having a regular sweat in a far infrared sauna is one of your best health practices you can come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because you get rid of a wide array of toxins. I mean, you get rid of mercury, you get rid of iron. They would have you believe you can't get rid of iron, but a lot of the older clinicians called the skin the third kidney.
So do you sweat on a regular basis?
I did for a long time, but I moved, and it was the setup of my new place is not conducive to setting up the sauna. So I haven't done it for about a year or so, but I should probably make space.
Yeah, they're so great. You miss them, don't you?
Yeah, you do. You do. You really do.
Yeah, we do it. We have a little one that we have here. It's a far infrared machine, and we sit in. I haven't been able to do it.
We're having a heat wave.
Yeah, we have a heat wave right now, so it's a little challenging, and I haven't been able to do it. I threw my back out a couple weeks ago, about two and a half weeks ago, and I haven't been able to do it. And I haven't been able to do it for 2 weeks, and I miss it. I'm so upset about it.
As a matter of fact, I just got, literally yesterday, cost about $2,000, this biomat that you can lay on that will give you sauna levels of the infrared. And so I'm hoping this will give me a good sweat while I'm just... because the other thing, too, is my sauna was so small I couldn't lay down in it. So I was always sitting or standing, and now maybe I can just lay down and read a book for a half an hour to 45 minutes while I sweat. We'll see.
I tell you, we have a little mini version of that biomat, and if you crank that thing up to the full temperature and you're on that thing an hour, you really do. I doubted that it would make me sweat, and it's not as much as the sauna, but holy mackerel, that thing will heat you up from the inside
It's
out.
pretty great.
Good to know.
Yeah,
So
you're going to love
have,
it.
You have the main or the larger, the longer
one.
version, right?
Right. And it has amethyst in it, is that right?
Yeah,
Yes.
some crystals, tourmaline.
It's pretty magical.
That's right.
Not only does it make you sweat, but we always talk about this on our show, but something magical happens around the 20-25 minute mark, where up until then it feels really good and you're having a good time hanging out, but it almost forces you to close your eyes. You go into this real sleepy
In between state.
In between state. It's very odd. It's very healing and very powerful. I think you're really going to like it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, you might have the best nap of your life.
Because I remember when I was first doing it, it was interesting because I did it for about 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and I had a goal of doing it for 30 minutes or 45 minutes, and I thought after about 15 or 20 minutes, it felt like this just feels like a regular heating pad. There's nothing special about this. And then, like she said, around the 20-minute mark, just something happens where you kind of go into that in-between state, and it just feels really, I don't know. You're
not asleep, you're not awake. It's just really peaceful. It's really exciting.
Well, that'll be fun for you to use.
That sounds good. Get into an altered state legally.
Yeah,
yes,
there you go. There you go.
You might only be able to read for the first 20 minutes, so knock that out.
Hey, one final question on liposomes, and I know that you got to take off, but I wanted to ask you, have you heard about there is a product I saw recently that I don't know if this is sort of a brand new product in terms of the technology, but they were encapsulating CBD from cannabis. Have you heard about that?
No, I haven't. I tell you what, though, there has to be a little bit of caution in what you liposome encapsulate, because you do get delivery directly inside the cell without energy consumption. And there's a lot of things that you might take orally that you don't necessarily want to go unaltered directly inside your cell. Now, I'm not saying that is or isn't the case with this particular substance. I'm just saying they need to be careful of getting a bandwagon effect on liposomes and putting things inside cells that shouldn't go directly inside cells without processing.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
That makes sense. There's a doctor we had on recently, and I'm just blown away at all the new technologies that are out there with the Biomat and these encapsulation liposome and all the stuff that we're learning. And a doctor was on a while ago, and he was saying that he was attending a physician's seminar, and I think it was basically naturopathic physicians, and he was talking about how if like after the seminar was over, all the physicians would meet in one of the hotel rooms privately and talk about all the things that they're sort of able to do for people, and he was just sort of surmising that, man, if we could just get all of the physicians that are on the cutting edge of what's really going on and be able to actually share unimpeded this cutting edge information with people and be able to practice, he was just kind of joking that there would be no disease left, because we have such a high level technology that lots of people have to do it underground, and they have to worry about the FDA and all these things. But he was saying if we were just allowed to practice without any interference,
what we're capable of.
Oh, yeah. He was just laughing about it, but it's so true.
That would be good. That would be utopian.
Wouldn't it? So, Dr. Levy, how can people contact you? Do you see people? Do you have anything that you want to share with people that you're doing, or how do people connect with you?
Well, I don't have a clinical practice, but I keep myself open to anybody who wants to ask a question. Now, they should understand I'm not going to help them manage their medical condition, but I'll answer questions about vitamin C or lead you into different information sources or lead you to doctors that can do different things. So I make my email available to the public. It's televymd@yahoo.com. And of course, my website, peakenergy.com.
Okay, and you're okay with the MD on there? Haven't had any visits by men in black suits yet, have you?
Well, not that I know of. Maybe I was in an altered state.
There you go. Well, thank you so much. I'm sorry about the confusion starting out here today, but thanks for spending some time with us. I really appreciate that.
No problem. Pleasure talking to y'all. Thanks for having me.
Hang on the line really quick. We're going to close out the live show or the show. Thank you everybody for joining us. I really appreciate it so much. If you found value in this show and you liked what we're doing and like what Dr. Thomas Levy is doing, feel free to share the show with your friends. I think they might really get a good benefit out of it, especially anyone that might be dealing with dental issues or iron issues or anemia, things like that. Share the show online with your friends. We'd really appreciate that. And if you want to check out the show, you could do so at extremehealthradio.com/4. Is it 35 or 36?
35, I believe.
So 435, and that way you'll be able to listen to this particular show on our website as well. So we thank you all. We love you all. Thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. And before we get started, I just want to let you guys know, if you are interested in the sauna that we talked about during the show, as well as the biomat, we sell both of those items in our store, and they're just invaluable tools to help aid you in the process of increasing the ability of your body to detoxify. I'm such a huge fan of these things. The sauna, like I said, I've been using it every day for probably about 3 years now, and or maybe more than that, actually, since 2012, so maybe 4 years. But I sit in there every day for about 25 minutes, or about 30 minutes, and then if I can go longer, I do. But it's such a great tool to detoxify the body, to get rid of fat-soluble toxins in the fat cells, and just a great way to increase heat shock proteins and boost your immune system. I think up to about 40%. Same with the biomat as well. They're such great tools. They're so different. We get a lot of questions, people asking which one is good or which one's, better than the other. They're just different. They kind of have the same effect on the body, but they're a little bit different. The biomat is amazing for its usability, because you can sleep on it, you can do yoga on it, you can read on it, you can do your meditation on there, you can put it on the couch when you're sitting, you can put it on your desk chair and get that all day long, whereas with the sauna you can't do that. But and the biomat's great too, because you can apply it directly to like your lower back or things like that if you really want to get direct heat to something. But they're just such great tools, and they're so unique and different in their own ways. We sell both of them on our website in our store. So if you guys are, interested in buying some of these high quality tools, check out our store. We've got lots of great stuff. Like we've got, the Bellicon rebounder on there. We've got, all kinds of really great things, blenders, dehydrators, juicers, all kinds of cool stuff in our store. So go check those out. If you're interested in buying health gadgets, recently we added a really great water vortexer, which helps to spin and structure water, called the Vitalizer Plus. And it helps turn ordinary existing water into structured water, which helps deliver oxygen and nutrients directly into the cells. So when you drink your water, you're not peeing. It's getting directly delivered to the inside of the cell. And so we just got lots of really great cutting edge stuff in our store. So go check those out if you're interested in supporting the show, getting some really great stuff that we stand behind. So that's at extremehealthradio.com/shop. Or there's a link at the top of our website for our store. So go check that out if you're interested in that stuff. All right. Dr. Levy, Thomas Levy. I really liked him.
He was wonderful.
Wasn't he good?
I hope they're not going to start encapsulating
him.
Yeah, no, like Big Macs.
Encapsulated.
Big Macs. Then people, they could save a lot of money on their food bills.
That's right.
No, I wonder, that's interesting, his thoughts on that, though. I mean, I'm sure with any kind of, like you said, anything that's penetrating right into the cell. I'm not saying cannabis is a bad idea or the CBD, but I wonder what kinds of things people have tried to encapsulate that wouldn't be a good thing.
I wonder, I can't imagine that, the shows we've done with Rick Simpson, the fact that, no one has ever there's been no deaths from cannabis. I can't imagine that there would be any issue with...
No, not with that. I wouldn't think, but... Yeah,
there's a product, if you guys are interested, and it's called Soul CBD, and if you go to extremehealthradio.com/soulcbd, SOLCBD, you can take a look at it. As of now, we have no financial interest in that, but I don't know if there ever would be, but I'd like to try it and see. But that's just an easy way to find it. I'll link that up for you guys.
That's more of like a liquid form.
It's a liquid form, but I think it's liposomal. I think it's encapsulated.
Oh, so that's the difference.
Yeah, it's Larry and Oksana down at Be Well Buzz. Yeah. So interesting, huh?
I really liked him.
Yeah.
I like it. You know what I loved about him? He's the perfect blend of science and then just explaining it in layman's terms all put together, because I thought that was interesting. I followed him a bit. Like, I could understand the general the general explanations
of what he's talking about,
iron and encapsulation and how these things happen.
That's funny that you followed him, because he lost me a little bit there.
Did he lose you? I followed it more than normal when it comes to the scientific stuff, which was surprising. But
yeah.
Do you know, is Live On Labs the only one who sells a truly, in his opinion, do you think, encapsulated form of vitamin C? Because I'm kind of bummed out that we thought we were making it right,
Well, he did say it is
still delivery.
It's still
delivering well, but
there is a liposomal vitamin C. Let me find it for you that you can get on Amazon.
Didn't Dr. Mercola, we see that at a health food store? Is his considered liposomal?
His is considered liposomal.
Okay.
There's a good one, let's see, on Amazon called Optimal Liposomal Vitamin C. Let's see,
is that in little packets like the?
No, this looks like a shampoo bottle, but I've known about this for quite some time.
Is it pretty pricey?
It's $29.95 for 5 ounces, which is 30 servings.
Okay.
That's about the same price as
the Live On Labs.
Yeah, I think that's the one. What we didn't ask him was the difference between the vitamin C, like the ascorbate, like the powder that we get, and like plant-based vitamin C's. Like, I should have asked him. But here's the other one I was thinking of. It's called. This is the one I've known about. It's on Amazon. It's called Let's Talk Health Liposomal Vitamin C. Now, this is 100% certified non-GMO superior absorption vitamin C. This one's expensive though. It's 16 ounces for $60.
Oh. How many servings is that considered? The recommendation?
It doesn't say. I'll link it up. I'll link these these vitamin C's up.
I think it's so important. I mean, I don't know. The kind that we take, the powders, the ascorbic, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's just the ascorbate.
Yeah, I think that's, from what he said, it's still great to get any form of vitamin C. It's just going to be a different potency and a matter of penetrating the cell or not. But we're out of both. We got to be making some and getting some. And
no, we're not out of the ascorbate. We just need to make the liposomal, right?
We need to make the liposomal.
I think we need to buy the lecithin too.
Oh, yeah.
There's a Dr. Andrew Saul. If you guys are interested in a lot more information about vitamin C, we did a show with Dr. Andrew Saul, and he talks about doing high dose vitamin therapy. And he was the one that was giving the protocol of like every 15 minutes if you're sick or if you're feeling a sickness coming on, or sometimes even as a preventative. Every 15 minutes. So he would sit with a little timer, and every time it would go off, he would just have another 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C.
Holy mackerel.
And that's 4,000 milligrams an hour. Mm-hmm. It's 4 grams an hour.
Man, for really sick folks, though, or even at times where I was way worse in my health journey with my digestive problems, I was doing a lot more vitamin C, and it really does seem to help me.
Doesn't it make you, it's funny how you listen to these things, and they make you inspired to, I got to get back to this, or I got to get back to that.
Well, you hear the urgency and the importance of them. I think we kind of all become lax in our everyday regimens because we do so much. Us people that are really into health,
there's only so much you can do in a day.
I know.
Things fall off and new things come in.
I know. But man, talking to him, I got all fired up again. Like, yeah, because we were ordering the Live On Labs packets for a while when we travel, and we have an upcoming trip to the mountains with my family. And
that's right.
I'd like to take that with us,
Yeah.
And I have to say, when we got our root canals removed with Dr. Nunley in Texas, I know during the procedure, which is awesome, they give you an IV of vitamin C to go along with the removal or extraction or any kind of dental work, I believe.
Yeah.
But what was interesting is afterward in the recovery room, they do like an light acupressure on your face.
It feels so good.
Felt amazing, especially to help with the reduction of the swelling and things like that.
I was just out.
I know you were.
It was amazing.
You came out not knowing my name. Who am I? Who are you?
What? God?
They maybe you did meet God in your altered state.
I met God during...
They tried to put an IV back in me afterward with a vitamin C drip, and I believe the next day, and my veins were just not having it.
Oh, yeah.
So instead, they gave me a whole ton of those packets of the Live On Labs vitamin C, and
that's right.
That was my first experience with those, and it was real gel. They're very jelly gel.
Yeah, it's all gel.
So I was just able to swallow that after my surgery on my mouth with my tooth extraction, but I really believe that was part of my quick healing. I never got super swollen. The pain was really minimal.
Yeah.
The site healed really, really well. I think that they're doing some great stuff in dental work these days.
And they have cool stuff. I mean, it's just, it eventually just becomes a money issue because the liposomal vitamin C is what's that called? Live On Labs.
Live On
You know,
Labs.
it's expensive, and but they have a great glutathione product.
Oh, right.
That you can take right before doing a sauna to really detox a lot more. And they have a couple other. I think they had 4 or 5 different sort of liposomal products that they put together, and it's really good.
Yeah, their products seem to be really pure and really great.
Yeah,
Go Live On Labs.
Go Live On Labs. Well, I may just go donate blood. I was, like I said on the
We've
show.
been talking about that anyway.
I know. I need to go do that. So I figure twice a year I do that.
I think that's a good idea. Women, not so much. I don't think we have to, because you're right.
Yeah.
Every month, at least menstruating
Every
women,
month,
we lose some blood. But yeah, you seem like you'd be a good blood giver. You have good veins.
I have great veins.
Yeah, they love you.
They love me.
Yep.
All right, everyone. So I appreciate you guys being on the show. And this was episode 435. So if you want to check anything out from related to this show, you can go to extremehealthradio.com/435. And we do appreciate you guys supporting the show. All of our shows are free, over 435 of them. And we couldn't do it without your support. And one of the great ways that you guys are supporting us now is via Patreon, which is a really great service where you can donate $1 a month, $5 a month, whatever you want to do. It's on a per show basis, but it only comes out of your account once a month. So a lot of people will just donate $1 a month, which equates right now, or 25 cents a show. And you can put a monthly cap on it too. So if we do more shows, you don't have to donate any more than a given amount. And if you have a Facebook account, you can set up a Patreon account in 2 seconds. And
That's pretty cool how those are connected like that.
It helps us a lot. So if you guys like the work that we're doing and like the information we're helping to spread around the world, please consider donating. You do it once, and once you do it, you never have to worry about it again. And every little bit helps us. So it's how we pay all of our bills, how we pay our rent, and buy our food, and buy food for Maggie and all of that. So
who's getting very squirrely over
she's
here?
getting very squirrely.
She knows at the end of the show she gets a treat.
So if you guys would like to, but if you're not interested in doing that, that's okay. You can purchase through our Amazon link. That helps us too. So if you bookmark our Amazon link and then use the bookmark every time you make an Amazon purchase, and think about old Justin and Kate, every time you make an Amazon purchase, we would greatly appreciate that. And if you're unable to do both those things, just simply share our shows on Facebook or Twitter. We'd greatly appreciate that. So anyway, thank you guys all for joining us. We really appreciate it. We love you all. And if there's ever anything we can do for you, please let us know. And we'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Hey, everybody. This is Josie, Justin's mum. Don't tell him, but I know he would absolutely be really happy if you would sign up to his free weekly newsletter. And don't forget to share this with all your friends. This is the buzzing bumblebee signing off.
So good.
Oh my gosh.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease, nor an attempt to treat or prevent any disease or condition. While information in this blog is discussed in the context of numerous conditions, it can be dangerous to take action based on